Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
This time we're going behind the scenes of Oldboy,
Oh,
diving deep into the original screenplay you sent us.
All right.
Forget just watching the movie today. We're cracking the code, seeing how this wild story unfolds on the page.
Sounds good.
So you're saying we're not just going to summarize the plot.
No.
We're really dissecting how the story is told, right?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So let's start with the timeline in Oldboy.
All right.
It's non-linear, meaning it jumps around. And that's one of the most unique things about it.
Interesting.
Imagine starting a puzzle by putting the edge pieces together last.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of what this screenplay does, and it makes the mystery even more intense.
Yeah, I can see how that would, keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yay.
Withholding information.
Exactly.
Okay, so, how does that work in Oldboy specifically?
Well, for example, we see Gus transform over years of captivity before we even know why he's locked up in the first place.
Wow.
We're dropped right into the middle of his nightmare.
Yeah.
And it makes his journey that much more disturbing.
So disturbing. Speaking of disturbing.
Yes.
The screenplay doesn't hold back on the details of his prison.
Right.
It's almost like the prison itself is a character.
Absolutely. It is.
How? So...
The screenplay paints this incredibly vivid picture of Gus's cell.
Okay.
The ugly wallpaper, the flickering fluorescent lights, the constant hum of the air conditioner. It's claustrophobic just reading it.
Wow, yeah, you can really...
And that security camera always watching. It's like the walls themselves are closing in on him.
So it's more than just the physical space, right?
Exactly.
There's this whole psychological element to it.
Yes. Remember that projection screen in his cell?
Oh, yeah.
It's his only window to the world.
Right.
But instead of offering comfort, it becomes a source of torment.
Yeah.
He sees these fragmented images of his past life, like his daughter's birthday party or his wife laughing.
Okay.
But they're completely out of context, almost mocking him.
It's like they're twisting the knife a little.
It is.
Yeah, reminding him of everything he's lost. I can imagine that would mess with your head after a while.
It's a brilliant way to show how isolation and sensory deprivation can warp your perception of reality.
Yeah.
The screenplay doesn't just tell us that Gus is suffering, it makes us feel it.
Right.
Through these powerful visual details.
So it's not just the visuals.
Yeah.
The screenplay gets really specific about other things too, right?
Absolutely.
Like the taste of his food.
Yes.
The smell of the prison.
Yeah.
Even the feel of the rough walls against his skin.
Yeah, that's what I love about a good screenplay. It goes beyond just dialogue and action.
Okay.
It creates a visceral experience for the reader.
Right.
Pulling you into the world of the story through these sensory details.
And there was one sensory detail that really stuck with me.
Oh.
It was Gus's obsession with taquitos.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a random thing to focus on, but it becomes this symbol of his monotonous existence.
Absolutely.
What does that symbol?
Those taquitos represent the dehumanizing routine of his imprisonment. Day after day, year after year.
Right.
He's fed the same bland, unsatisfying food.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that he's completely at the mercy of his captors, stripped of his agency and individuality.
And even when he gets out,
yes,
that obsession continues.
It's like a scar.
Right.
A reminder of the trauma he's endured.
Trauma has a way of lingering.
It does.
Even after you've escaped the physical confines.
Absolutely.
I guess that's what the taquitos represent.
The screenplay brilliantly explores this idea through Gus's seemingly mundane fixation on taquitos.
Interesting.
It's a symbol of how past experiences can shape our present.
Yeah.
Even in the smallest, strangest ways.
Okay, so let's talk about how this whole revenge thing plays out. It's not exactly a straightforward revenge story, is it?
Not at all.
The screenplay doesn't shy away from the complexities of revenge. We see how it consumes Gus, driving him to make choices he never would have considered before his imprisonment.
Right.
It becomes his sole purpose, his reason for living.
Yeah.
But it also leads him down a dark and dangerous path.
Okay, so this is where those time jumps come into play again.
Right.
Because we see him at different points in his journey.
Yes.
And it's not always chronological.
Exactly. We see Gus transform from this bewildered captive into a hardened and vengeful man.
Right.
The non-linear structure allows us to witness his evolution in a fragmented way.
Yeah.
Mirroring his own fractured state of mind.
So we're not just getting a step-by-step account of his revenge plan, but we're also seeing the psychological toll.
Precisely.
It's taking on him.
It's like we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together along with him.
Yeah.
Trying to make sense of his motivations.
And the events that led him to this point.
Okay, and then there's the Climb Every Mountain song.
Yes.
Which isn't just like background music. It plays a pretty significant role.
It's almost like another character in the screenplay.
Oh, wow.
It's the song they play every time they drug Gus.
Okay.
So it becomes this trigger for him,
Wow.
a symbol of his imprisonment and the manipulation he's endured.
I can't even imagine like hearing that song after going through all that.
It's brilliant, isn't it? The way the screenplay takes this seemingly innocent song and turns it into a weapon. It highlights the power of external forces to control our emotions and actions, even after we've gained our physical freedom.
Wow, okay, so Climb Every Mountain is not just a happy little tune in Oldboy.
Not at all.
It's a whole...
It's loaded.
It's loaded.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And speaking of freedom, Gus's re-entry into the world after 15 years is a whole other kind of challenge.
Oh, yeah, so he's landed on a different planet.
Exactly.
The world has moved on without him.
Yeah.
He's left struggling to catch up.
The screenplay does a fantastic job of showing how disorienting that experience would be.
Right, like imagine trying to navigate a world of smartphones and social media when like the last time you were free, people were still using payphones.
Exactly. It's crazy.
So he meets a bunch of different characters along the way.
He does.
But one that really stands out is Anna.
Yes.
She's not your typical damsel in distress, is she?
Definitely not.
Like, what makes her different?
Anna is tough.
Okay.
Resourceful, and she has her own demons to battle.
Interesting.
Their relationship is one of the most fascinating aspects of the screenplay.
Yeah, like how so?
Full of tension and unexpected turns.
Okay, so there's a definite power imbalance between them at first, right?
Yeah, right?
Because Gus is so desperate for information, for any kind of connection, and he kind of uses Anna to get what he needs.
Yeah, it makes you question the nature of their connection.
Right. Is it genuine?
Exactly.
Is it manipulative, or is it a bit of both?
It's hard to say.
Yeah, the screenplay doesn't really give us easy answers.
It doesn't.
Which I guess makes their relationship all the more compelling.
Right.
And then there's that scene in the club.
Oh, yeah.
Where Gus sees Anna with another man and completely loses it.
He does.
It's like all this pent-up rage and jealousy just explodes.
That scene is a turning point in their relationship.
Okay.
It reveals the depth of Gus's possessiveness and the scars left by his imprisonment.
Yeah.
He's so used to being controlled that he can't handle the idea of Anna having a life outside of him.
It's almost like he's trying to recreate that prison environment.
Exactly.
But this time he's the one in control.
It's a tragic cycle of abuse and control.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the idea that even when we're physically free, we can still be tracked by our past experiences.
Okay, but despite all the darkness, there are also these moments of real tenderness between Gus and Anna.
There are.
Like they cook together, they care for each other's wounds, they share their stories of abuse.
Those moments offer a glimmer of hope.
Okay.
They show that even in the midst of trauma and violence, human connection is still possible.
Right.
It's a reminder that we all have the capacity for empathy and healing, even if it's buried deep down.
So then there's Steven.
Yes.
The mastermind behind Gus's imprisonment.
Right.
What does the screenplay tell us about his motivations?
Steven is a fascinating character study.
Okay.
He's intelligent, calculating, and driven by this twisted sense of justice.
Interesting.
The screenplay hints at a past connection between him and Gus, suggesting that his actions are fueled by this deep-seated resentment.
It's like he's playing a game with Gus.
He is.
Pulling the strings and watching him dance.
That line he delivers through Anna's computer, whether it's a pebble or a grain of sand and water, they both sink alike. It sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes about his nihilistic worldview and his belief that everyone is ultimately doomed.
It's like he wants to drag Gus down into his darkness.
Exactly.
Right, to prove that there's no escape from suffering.
And the way he orchestrates Anna's assault is just devastating.
Yeah.
He knows how much she means to Gus.
Right.
And he uses that connection to inflict the most pain possible.
But Anna chooses to stay with Gus.
She does.
Even after everything she's been through.
It's one of the most powerful moments in the screenplay.
Yeah.
Her decision is an act of defiance against Steven's manipulation.
Okay.
It shows that even in the darkest of times, love and compassion can prevail.
Right.
It's a reminder that we have the power to choose how we respond to trauma, and that healing is always possible.
Too bad it can't end there.
Right.
Gus finds that photograph. The one that reveals Anna and Steven were once a couple.
Yeah.
Talk about a gut punch.
That discovery is like a bomb going off in Gus's world. It shatters his trust in Anna and reinforces his belief that he's destined to be alone.
So Stephen uses this opportunity
Of course.
to just twist the knife even further.
That phone call?
Oh, yeah.
Where Gus hears the sounds of Mike's murder playing through the receiver.
Chilling.
It leaves you wondering what kind of twisted game Stephen is playing.
Yeah, and what fate awaits Gus and Anna.
The ending of the screenplay is a masterpiece of suspense.
Okay.
It doesn't offer easy answers or resolutions.
Right.
Instead, it leaves us with a sense of unease and dread.
Like what kind of questions?
The question that lingers is, can Gus escape the cycle of violence and find redemption?
Right.
Or is he destined to repeat the mistakes of the past?
Man, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely on the edge of my seat.
Me too.
So it feels like we're left with more questions than answers.
That's the brilliance of this screenplay.
Okay.
It doesn't tie everything up in a neat little bow.
Right.
Instead, it challenges us to think about the ramifications of revenge, the psychological toll it takes on everyone involved.
So it's not just about Gus getting his revenge.
No.
It's about, like, the ripple effects, the unintended consequences.
Exactly.
Like, give me an example.
Think about those taquitos again.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're a symbol of the routine and dehumanization of Gus's imprisonment.
Right.
But they also represent how trauma can linger, how it can shape our behaviors and desires even after we're free.
And in a way, isn't Stephen also trapped?
Oh, absolutely.
Trapped by his own obsession with controlling Gus's life.
He's a prisoner of his own making just as much as Gus was.
Right.
He's consumed by this need for vengeance, this desire to prove a point.
Yeah.
And in the end, it destroys him.
It makes you wonder if revenge is ever truly satisfying.
Right.
If it can ever truly bring closure.
That's the question the screenplay leaves us with.
Yeah.
Is it better to seek justice, even if it means sacrificing your own humanity?
Wow.
Or is forgiveness, however difficult, the only path to true freedom?
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
But that's what makes Oldboy so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just a mindless action flick.
No.
It's a psychological thriller.
Right.
That forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves.
And the screenplay itself is a work of art.
Yeah.
The way it uses time jumps, sensory details, symbolism. It's also carefully crafted to create this unsettling, unforgettable experience.
It's like reading a puzzle.
Yes.
You have to piece together the clues to understand the bigger picture.
Exactly.
And even then, you're left with this lingering sense of unease.
That's the mark of a truly great story.
Yeah.
It stays with you long after you've finished reading it.
Right.
It makes you question your own beliefs, your own perceptions of the world.
Well, I think we've successfully unpacked the Oldboy screenplay.
I think so, too.
We've explored its themes, its characters, its unique structure.
And hopefully we've given you, the listener, a deeper appreciation for the power of storytelling, the way a well-crafted screenplay can transport you to another world, make you feel things you never expected to feel.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive will inspire you to check out the movie again.
Yeah.
Or even seek out other screenplays to explore.
Because sometimes the most rewarding journeys are the ones that take us behind the scenes.
Okay.
That allow us to see the inner workings of a story. And to understand the creative choices that make it truly special.
So until next time, keep diving deep.
Oh.
And remember, there's always more to discover beneath the surface.